how come Muslim is allowed to marry a Christian woman and a Jewish woman?
That's been abrogated, sir.
No.
Yes. Tell me, what is the concept of nasuk?
There are thousands.
What is nasuk?
There are thousands or millions of Muslims.
Habibi, be honest. Don't be like most typical Muslims that lie. Tell the truth. What is the doctrine of abrogation in Islam?
Don't fool people.
What is the doctrine of abrogation? When you watch this at home, I'm speaking right there because you'll remember, you are a Muslim who is using deception to lie to people and appease your conscience into thinking that the Islam you're practicing is what Muhammad would approve of. Muhammad abrogated this concept because he later said that the Jews and the Christians were no better than the polytheists, and you're not allowed to marry one of those. You're not even allowed to have them as friends.
In this case, you really know Quran better than Muhammad.
Muhammad never saw the Quran.
Interpretation.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. When did the Quran get finished? When was it compiled?
Quran allowing.
I didn't ask that. When did the Quran get compiled?
I'm not going to answer this question.
Because you know you have to lie to maintain your integrity. The Quran was compiled by Uthman, who commissioned Zayd ibn Thabit to go collect the manuscripts, from which Zayd ibn Thabit said it would have been easier if he told him to go move a mountain than to collect the Quran. If the Muslims had the Quran available, if there were Muslims that had it memorized, why did he make the statement it would be easier to move a mountain than to collect the Quran? Then why is it that Uthman, after he compiled the Quran, burned other Qurans and manuscripts if you're not supposed to do that? Because there were different Qurans by different Muslims that contradicted each other. But he doesn't like that because it contradicts his what he's been taught by his leaders. Yes, sir.
Sorry if you don't understand my accent, I'm from England. Earlier you asked for some logic, so I've got a couple of questions for you and any other
Go ahead,
Muslims.
Mate. Yes, sir.
Do you believe that God created everything?
The Judeo-Christian doctrine of the creation ex nihilo, creating out of nothing, that's referenced in Genesis, Bereshit bara Elohim, is that the initial creation, before the fall of Adam, was what God created. Then everything from there, for instance, he didn't create you directly, you're an indirect part of the creation from the initial male and female.
Okay, so do you believe that God knows everything?
He cannot learn, yes.
So if God knows everything and created everything, why did he create doubt?
Is doubt a thing?
As in, why did he create disbelievers?
Okay. Again, Adam and Eve were believers in him. Remember the initial creation? This is why I gave you the qualifier, because I knew where this would lead. Adam and Eve knew God directly. God spoke to them directly, so they weren't disbelievers.
Right, well, how am I a disbeliever?
I don't know that you are. I just met you.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm a disbeliever. And you say
In what?
God.
What do you disbelieve in?
In God.
Which one?
In any God, I'm an atheist.
Okay, there is no such thing as an atheist. You want me to prove it?
Go on.
I'll make you backslide. Do you know all things perfectly?
No.
Do you know what's in my back pocket?
No.
Then how can you make the boastful claim that you know that there are no gods or goddesses anywhere within all of reality?
No, I didn't say I didn't know that. I said I don't believe it.
Then you don't know what your worldview is. An atheist, the word atheist means no God. For no or not. Theos, the word for God. No God. You're claiming there is no God. How do you know?
Well, if you I don't know that there's no God.
Then you're an agnostic, not an atheist.
Right, well, you're saying that your God created everything and knows everything, but if he did so, then why would he create disbelievers? Because then...
Okay, see, you're ignoring what I said.
Well,
again, you're not a disbeliever, you're a doubter.
Right.
Okay, and you're more properly an agnostic than an atheist, isn't that true?
Well, I'm not sure really.
Well, since you acknowledge that you don't know everything, all you can do is say it hasn't been proven to me that God exists.
Yes.
So that's an agnostic. You can't say I don't know there is no God.
Right, but I don't think...
Or I know there is no God.
Are you an atheist?
Am I an atheist?
Yeah.
No.
How about the other 10,000 gods before you? Such as
The Romans did call the Christians atheists only because they were monotheistic and not polytheistic. But what he's presenting is no God. Atheism, as we...
by the way, most atheists do say say they're atheist, agnostic, because
Sure.
they're honest about waiting for evidence. But if none of the evidence is pointing
Well,
in the direction,
so you said if you said God created everything in the beginning and He knows everything.
Yes.
So if He knows everything, then you didn't really answer my question. Why would He allow a disbeliever to be to
Okay,
like, make to exist?
that's a different question. That's better. Why does God allow for people to reject Him?
Yes.
He has a purpose for that. He has created human beings with volition. We have an intellect. We're cognitive. You can choose to believe in Him or to reject Him. But He does say there are consequences to that.
But if He knows everything, then He would know that I disbelieve. Why would He want me to disbelieve?
You were born in a certain environment. That was the consequence of your parents, of their parents, of their parents. All the way back to the Garden of Eden. Adam screwed up for all of us. But I'm not going to say I wouldn't have screwed it up. The thing is, when God told Adam and Eve, don't do this or you'll have these results, there'll be a curse. They screwed up. They were the only two creatures that have ever existed that had true free will. They could choose to maintain their perfect status with God or to rebel and bring in a consequence. That consequence has had ripples that have affected us till tonight. Now, God hasn't left you in absolute ignorance and darkness. He's brought you here tonight so that you can go from doubting to belief. If you want to know how to know God, your Creator, and have bliss in the afterlife, believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ, according to the gospel.
Why, if
the
like
New
I
Testament.
said, God knows everything. So why would He allow Adam to follow the wrong path? Why would He do that?
He has a purpose. He's got a purpose in glorifying Him. He has a purpose in demonstrating His attributes. Read the book of Romans, so that His wrath might be known and His righteousness and His indignation towards evil. He'll be glorified by punishing wickedness, and He will be glorified by showing mercy and grace to those who don't deserve it.
If God created everything in the beginning, and He knows everything, why would He allow evil to exist? He could have prevented that at the start, surely.
Okay, then obviously He's got a purpose.
What is that purpose?
Okay, I was explaining it to you, but you're not catching it. To glorify Himself through the punishment of wickedness and the rewarding and the blessing of through grace and mercy.
That doesn't. Why would He have to punish wickedness? It doesn't
That's
have
His
to
nature.
exist.
His nature is righteous.
Wickedness does not have to exist if God created everything.
Well, no, you're right. Now, the purpose is in Himself. If you are God and you are all powerful, who are you going to answer to?
Well, nobody.
Nobody. So, do you think God is worried about your objections of why He does what He does? No. So, that He has a purpose in Himself for doing what He does, and we are ignorant of some of those purposes, we can look at the other attributes of God and what He's done through history and say, you know what? He's demonstrated His faithfulness, His kindness, His mercy. He sent His only begotten Son to die on a cross for His enemies, so that if they believe in Him, He'll have mercy on them. Why would I then object to that because I have doubt to things I cannot possibly know right now? Yeah. I'm going to trust in His faithfulness and know that if He is all-powerful and all-good by nature, He has a good reason for allowing these things, and who am I to doubt Him?
Well, it's not logical to me what you're saying.
Right, but do you think your logic supersedes God's?
Well, I don't. I think.
See, this is where we become arrogant. We think, if I don't understand it, then it can't be right.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Then trust that He has a good purpose. See, I have family members that have gone to hell. I don't sit there and rub my hands, all right, more people going to hell. I weep, I grieve over those who have perished. So I don't like the doctrine of hell any more than you do. But I accept it as a God-given revelation that if people don't flee from that wrath to come, they will end up there as well. So the more urgency for me to come out of here and tell people, repent of Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Shintoism, skepticism, and believe in the Son of God according to biblical revelation. Then you'll avoid that which you don't like, eternity in hell.
With respect, I don't think you've given a strong enough answer for my question for me to change.
Because you think you're God. You think your ways are above God's ways.
Absolutely not.
You do. You're not humble enough to say, maybe He does have a reason for it that doesn't make sense to me, that I don't understand.
Well, yeah. Anyways, I'll make a comment about Islam.
Now, you're not going to stop right with doubt. You're going to keep searching until you're satisfied. Because I did. It took me 2 years.
I do.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I do.
And I
But
appreciate
I
that.
didn't get it tonight.
Right, okay.
Right, I'll make a comment about Islam. I'm from the UK, and in 2011 census, it was revealed that the Muslim population of Britain is 4.8%, up from 2.1% in 2001, which is a huge jump. The American Muslim population, I believe, is 0.6%. So you have roughly the same amount of Muslims in the USA as we do in Britain. Now, you talk about problems in Islam, and I agree that there is some, but the problems you have in the United States with Islam are so small and irrelevant compared to what we have in Britain, because in Britain there's mass immigration and there's no integration taking place. We have cities in Britain which are pretty much no-go areas
Right.
for indigenous British people. In America, the times I've been here, every time I've came across an American Muslim, they seem to be well integrated and American. In Britain, we don't have that. We have Muslims who identify themselves as Pakistani or Muslim, whatever, but certainly they don't identify themselves as British. So the problem you have here is a perfect example. That
Yeah,
guy's
they just,
been
I
arrested.
believe they just arrested this pig.
That's right.
Under terrorism issues.
Yeah. So that's just the comment I wanted to make. Your problem
Yeah.
is quite small. However,
Yeah, sorry for the pig.
last thing I'd say is Islam and the West are incompatible in my opinion.
Yes, they are. Sharia law in Western constitutions or jurisprudence or law, they are incompatible. Women have a they're a second-class citizen under Sharia law. A woman's testimony in a court of law is only worth half that of a man under Sharia law. Husbands can beat their wives under Sharia law. A Muslim man can have up to 4 wives and countless concubines. Temporary marriage, it's called prostitution. It's called muta. They know what it is. In Islam, you can lie, even in a court of law. I mean, they're allowed to use taqiyya, deception, if it will further the cause. In Islam, you cannot coexist with a foreign government. Muhammad said that the fight and slay the disbelievers until the religion alone is for Allah. That's for those who are listening. Muhammad said that the Jews and the Christians were the worst of creatures. Muhammad said that homosexuals should be taken from a high point and tossed over. Muhammad said that women cannot walk in the streets unveiled unless they're indoors and with family members or anyone that doesn't qualify as a possible husband or mate. So you start looking at the Constitution of the United States and Sharia law, they're incompatible. They cannot coexist. Muhammad told his followers that they cannot pledge allegiance to anyone that is not Muslim. So you cannot have a Muslim American, a British American. It is contrary to Islam. You cannot, Muhammad said, do not take the Jews or the disbelievers as your friends or protectors. If a Muslim pledges allegiance to the United States of America and to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, he is saying that he is under the protection or sovereignty of the United States government. That is incompatible with Islam. So how does a Muslim practice his religion and at the same time submit to a non-Muslim government? They can't, folks. So they do it temporarily under the practice of jihad, because there's the jihad of the pen, the jihad of the mouth, and the jihad of the sword. Muhammad's life left an example of stages. A weak stage where you go with the flow, you say you're part of the system, you're compatible, we're friends, kumbaya. The second stage, you start segregating, criticizing, propagating, called dawah. It's where they propagate Islam. And then the third stage, they've got the numbers, the power, and the influence, and they bring out the sword. Don't let it get to that, folks. Europe is about right at second stage. We're right now under stage 1, where they say they're our friends, they say they can enjoy the culture, they don't wear the veil, they say they can decide whatever they want about the religion. That is a deception to further the religion until they get the numbers, the influence, and then the power. And that's when my head will roll, and if you don't convert to their religion, your head is going to follow mine. Yes, sir.
Hey again. So some of the points you brought up, and when you were talking with Lawrence from the UK, it reminded me of a few things, which is about the law and how we're punished for it. Now, you were talking about original sin with Adam and Eve, and you were kind of hinting at Garden of Eden, and I don't know if you're a young Earth creationist like I asked before, but You just say, I don't know. Then you're asking Lawrence, and this is leading to a question. Do you know everything?
No.
So, no, you were asking Lawrence, and he honestly said
right.
no, which is, yeah, atheists, many are agnostics out of honesty because they don't know everything. But if all the evidence is leading in a direction, right?
Yeah.
And we go in that direction, that's why they're honest enough to say, yeah, I don't know if there's like going to be a supernatural space god being that shows up like Q and rules
I like
the
the
earth.
Q.
Yeah, Q. He's a
cool.
pretty warped guy, but anyway, but
cool.
honest enough to say that. Now there's true, I'm an atheist pretty much, I can tell you, to the gods we're talking about here. And there's a reason for that. And it's because of the laws that were created that there's no way I would want that to be my God. One that causes genocide. Whatever happened with Noah, there's so many different versions of why the Noah story had to happen, but wiping out a planet of people and all the animals, and we're talking children, were wiped out.
Now let me
on
ask
this
you a
planet.
question, sir.
That is not the God I want to be part of. So, also, how can I be part of a God system that says in your singular life, with this brain that thinks, if you don't come around to worshiping our Lord and Savior who came and died for you, in your singular life, you will have eternal punishment of torture, burning, fire, whatever the description of it.
Wear asbestos underwear.
Yeah. So, in other words, the estimates are about 100 billion humans, Homo sapiens, have been here on the planet.
Sapien,
so far.
sapien. They've changed it.
All right. So, and how many found or didn't found? Let's just honestly say 75 billion didn't find Christ. Right now, God is busy
Okay, sir.
torturing them.
Slow down. Okay, we've got your point. You don't like God.
How do we follow God?
Okay. Now here's my point. If God is God, what's your alternative?
Love.
Yeah, but you still go to hell. What's your plan?
If that's the hell.
See, if he doesn't exist, then you're fine in just saying, I'll take whatever
Okay,
I
hold
will.
on.
But if he is God, and that is true revelation, and there are consequences, why don't you bow your knee to Christ and avoid that which you hate? Eternity and torments?
Because I'm not bowing my knee to anyone.
Then you're going to hell.
And I'm fine with that because...
No, you're not. Look at you. You don't like it. Avoid it.
Well, I believe nothing's going to happen, so I don't
Then what's your
in
problem?
All right?
Go enjoy your life. Go watch a movie.
Because you're out here telling people a story.
But if it's not, if it's myths and legends, it's no different than if I was talking about Bugs Bunny.
Oh, yeah, but it's fear-based.
So what? What's the matter?
Why scare the children? Why scare people into religion instead of
Anybody here
loving them?
scared of anything I've been saying?
Are you afraid of hell? Yeah. Anyone afraid of burning in hell?
No, that's why they don't turn, because they're not afraid. That's the whole problem. God says there is no fear of God in their eyes. That's why they rebel. If you weren't scared of the consequences, you didn't believe they were really there, then you wouldn't be hiding. You wouldn't be doing these things. People are scared of the police because they believe in the real consequences. Yeah. If people really believed in the consequences that God has revealed, then they would turn. But the fact that they reject that is why there's rebellion.
Okay, how many of you rejected Christianity here? We'll just start with that one. Are there Christians in the room? In the open space. So they haven't rejected it. Are you, now keep your hand up if you fear hell.